So the Chicago drivers are not going to be happy about this. The new fees required by the city of Chicago. Why doesn't Chicago, I mean, talking about the state of Illinois, just introduce an AB5 bill, right? And fight for independent contractor rights and get more money through the taxes. So it becomes a win for the state, a win for the drivers, because they get their, their earnings raised, and the state is happy. But in this equation, they screw everything up because the city of Chicago now hits you with all of these additional penalties. I mean, hitting Uber. Who does Uber dump the costs on? Usually the driver. They don't want to lose the rider, right? So we end up hurting here. So I don't think Chicago think this one through. They could have taken the initiative. They could have seized the moment, and they could have packaged this all into their own Illinois AB5 bill, whatever they wanted to call it, right? And do it like the state of California. On January the 6th, the city of Chicago implemented new rideshare fees that caused an increase in the pricing for Lyft rides, right? Lyft, Uber, blaming it on Chicago. These fees go directly to the city of Chicago. They won't go to drivers or to Lyft. That's what they say now, right? That's what they say now. I mean, listen, with these fee increases, they have to find a way to explain to riders, hey, the fees have gone up. You have to bear that cost, right? But in their wording, they won't go to drivers or to Lyft. I'm sorry. They find a creative way, these companies, to always unload at a later point these costs on you. And I don't think it's quite true when they say they won't go to drivers or to Lyft. Are you saying that these are 100% dumped on the rider, right? I'd like a little bit more feedback and clarity on that from Chicago drivers. I welcome screenshots. I welcome your input on these videos. The new fees required by the city of Chicago include the following. City of Chicago fee, a $1.13 surcharge for non-shared rides, and 53 cents for both shared and wheelchair accessible vehicle rides, encouraging people to do pool trips, shared trips, which we hate, right? Downtown zone surcharge, a surcharge of $1.75 for non-shared rides and 60 cents for shared rides with pickups or drop-offs that occur between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. on weekdays in the downtown zone reflected below. The City of Chicago Airport, McCormick Place, Navy Pier surcharge, $5. $5. They're going to hit every single rider with a $5 surcharge, right? Do they pay that straight up front, right? How do riders feel about this? Your input is required. And who ultimately carries these expenses? I mean, this here, I think this statement is so misleading. They won't go to drivers or to Lyft. You and I know that these companies find the most creative ways to unload these additional costs on drivers down the line. So they say existing fees include the following: City of Chicago Airport, McCormick Place, Navy Pier surcharge $5, as I said. Surcharge for trips to and from or between O'Hare International Airport, Midway International Airport, McCormick Place, and Navy Pier. City of Chicago Airport, McCormick Place, Navy Pier surcharge, a 10-cent surcharge on all non-wheelchair accessible vehicle rides. Wow. Will people now be thinking rideshare, taxis, rideshares, comparing prices? I mean, these are pretty stiff penalties. How much of this do taxis pay? Shuttles pay? Do they get a similar fee structure? Please, taxi drivers, shuttle drivers, I'm also fighting for your rights. You also drivers like we are. I treat you as extended family, right? Share some input with me, please, as far as Chicago. If you're driving a taxi, if you're driving a shuttle, if you're driving a bus, what are your fees there? Quick sip of coffee here. Let's see how this all plays out. I just find some of these charges, especially this $5 airport charge, heavy, really, really heavy, right? You're taking a $15 trip to the airport and suddenly becomes $20. That's a big difference. That's a huge, huge difference, right? Who at the end of the day will carry these $5 extra charges, these $1.13 charges, these $1.75 charges, these 10 cents charges? Who picks those up at the end of the day? Have a great day. And please, all drivers out there, all Chicago drivers, especially if it's bad weather, snowing, rain, or ice, please drive safe. You are important, my friends.